You might not want to accept this. You might not even realize it's happening, but you are witnessing the fall of a dynasty, the biggest footballing institute of England, Manchester United. It's a tale as old as time. Grey King steps down, kingdom falls into ruin. It happened to Rome, it happened to Egypt, and, wouldn't you know it, it's happening to Manchester United. There seems to be an uncanny resemblance of the club's two successful periods. So will history repeat itself? These are the years Manchester United won league titles. 20 times. A record on these shores, catapulting them into the giants they are today. Out of the 20, the first 7 were from the old era of First Division, before the Premier League that is, and 5 of those were from the great Matt Busby, a Scottish manager who built the foundation the club stands on today. Even after Busby lost his best players in the tragic Munich Air Disaster in February 1958, he rebuilt United, guiding them to league championships in 1965 and again in 1967. You wouldn't believe it, but United went 26, I repeat, 26 years before winning their next league title. What happened in those 26 barren years is always swiftly hidden like it never happened. But I will tell you. Wilfred McGuinness replaced Matt Busby after his retirement. He was then replaced by Frank O'Harrell, who won the FA Cup in '72. United then got relegated to the second division. Dave Sexton came in with mixed success from '77 to '81. Then from '81 to '86, Ron Atkinson came in, winning FA Cups in '83 and '85, to then get replaced by Alex Ferguson. Then, history repeats itself. A Scottish manager takes over Manchester United after years of being in the wilderness. Similar to Busby, he builds a core young team from their youth setup and takes over English football. Win after win after win. A few interruptions from Arsenal, Chelsea, then Man City at the tail end of their dominance. But Ferguson won 13 league titles, his last in the 2012-13 season. And that's where I want to deep dive into the reason Manchester United declined and are still declining after the 2012-13 season. It was his fault. He won the title. His reputation was untarnished. He left on his terms, with United at the top and his legacy firmly intact. But what did he leave behind? A team that was running on fumes. For the defense, the likes of Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, and Patrice Evra were all heading for the door as they had ultimately passed their prime. Who were the promising talents coming behind them? Phil Jones and Chris Smalling. Although both had huge potential, their United career ended meh. The midfield had players like Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs, both on their last legs, and Michael Carrick, the only legit player left. The rest, again, all had huge potential, but their United career ended meh. The forwards, same story. Van Persie and Wayne Rooney, legit, but the rest, meh. Ferguson was the ultimate football emperor, the kind of man who wielded absolute power, made things work by sheer force of will, which is basically what he did with his last squad. But once he left, the club started to look for another emperor, and all they got were pretenders. First, it was David Moyes, handpicked by Fergie himself, but coming from an overachieving Everton to United. After falling out of European competition for the first time since 1990, he was gone. The Dutch master Van Gaal came to the rescue. He managed to grab an FA Cup, but that wasn't enough for the big old United. He was gone 2 days after. The special one was the only manager who could now bring Manchester United back to their glory days. It started promising too, to be fair. Community Shield, League Cup and Europa League trophies in the first season proved Jose was a master of winning trophies, but he couldn't get the most desired trophy of them all. So the special one morphed into the toxic one.
Otamendi, Kevin De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Silva, Sterling, Aguero, they are investments from the past. Do you know there are many United players that left the club last season? See where they play, how they play, if they play. That's football heritage.
Well, he ain't lying. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, an ex-player and a cult hero for his historical winning goal for United's first Champions League, came in. But even with decent spells of form, he didn't have the pedigree. He was gone too. Then a weird interlude of caretaker managers, Michael Carrick and Ralf Rangnick, to Erik ten Hag. Similar to his Dutch compatriot and Mourinho, he has won the League Cup and FA Cup. But in the league,
big man thing, yeah, it's not looking good, Bev.
with the main issue being a lack of identity.
He's now out too. It's Ruben Amorim's turn to try and bring back the glory days.
The club's strategy of replacing Ferguson was all wrong from the start. They didn't need another all-powerful manager. They needed a whole new system. Modern football clubs spread decision-making across multiple roles, so no one person had to do it all. Even the best managers today, Klopp, Guardiola, Ancelotti, they don't have unilateral control. They work with directors of football, recruitment teams, and youth academy coaches, each playing a part in the long-term vision of the club. But Man United were left behind, and when one of the greatest footballers of all time returned to the club, he left bitterly and said this on his way out: "If that's not the most damning verdict to receive, then what is? A once mighty empire in ruins, all because they couldn't move on from their greatest leader." Till next time. Peace!